In this lecture, we're going to explore our first data type called null. The null data type represents nothing. If your variable does not store a value, it's considered to be null. Seems strange, but it's not uncommon to have variables that store nothing. In the real world, you may have a mailbox for storing your mail. However, your mailbox is not always full. From time to time, it'll be empty. Just because it's empty doesn't mean you should get rid of your mailbox. Eventually, you're going to receive mail. This same idea can apply to programming. For example, you may want to create a login form for users. It's common for login forms to require a user's email. This information would be stored in a variable. Initially, the form may not be filled in. Therefore, you may have a variable in your application without a value. Let's look at an example by creating a variable called data. I know what you're thinking. Didn't I say earlier that our variable names should be descriptive? That's correct. But for this example, the data variable is going to store various types of data. It's going to be a generic variable for experimenting with data types. After creating the variable, set the value to null. And that's it. We've created a variable that doesn't store anything. Let's replace the number inside the variable dump function with the data variable. After doing so, the value gets rendered on the screen. Now you may be thinking, why should we take the time to set the variable to null? If it doesn't contain a value, is there a point in defining one? The answer to that question is yes. Let me show you why. In our script, apply a comment to the data variable. There are two things worth noting about the output. Firstly, PHP throws a warning at us. The warning states the following: undefined variable data. Undefined warnings are one of the most common errors to receive in PHP. The interpreter is trying to tell us that we're trying to use a variable that doesn't exist in our program. Makes sense, right? PHP can't use a variable that hasn't been created in the first place. The second noteworthy thing is the text after the warning. The value null gets outputted. By default, if PHP can't find a variable, it'll fall back to null. Undefined variables are considered to be null. While it's great that undefined variables have a default value, the warning should be avoided. If we were to explicitly create the variable with an initial value of null, we can avoid the warning altogether. I'm going to uncomment the data variable. There's one more thing I want to mention about the null data type. The null keyword is case insensitive. Most developers prefer to use lowercase letters. From time to time, you may come across a different format that uses all uppercase letters like so. There isn't a difference between the spellings. Both formatting solutions result in the same thing. Personally, I prefer to use lowercase letters. Alright, that's about it for the null data type. In the next lecture, let's continue exploring other data types.